The weekend rain gave crews in Southern California some aid as they battle those deadly wildfires there. But it's really a double-edged sword, with mudslides remaining a top concern. Mud flows led to a partial closure of the famous PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, in the Palisades fire area yesterday. And those dangerous road conditions also forced multiple schools in the city of Malibu to close for today. And though wet weather persists through the rest of the day, crews continue to tackle four active fires currently burning right now. The Palisades fire still burns. The Eaton fire, the Hughes fire in LA County are all almost fully contained. And while the Border 2 fire in San Diego County is now at 40% containment. But as we look ahead to the rebuilding and the repopulation phase, those affected by the fires are in need of some huge financial relief. To alleviate some of that stress, California lawmakers introduced major legislation to make big oil pay for disaster damage homeowners and businesses experience in natural disasters like this. Here to go over the details is California State Senator Scott Wiener, who helped introduce the bill. Scott, thanks so much for being with us. We understand this bill is meant to improve insurance affordability by putting much of the cost on fossil fuel companies. Can you go over how that would exactly work?
Yeah, so we have escalating climate-fueled disasters, including the most recent in Los Angeles in the middle of winter. This shows how bad it's getting. We're having the worst wildfires in California history in the middle of winter. And we know that this is imposing huge costs on taxpayers, of course, on all the victims, and also on policyholders, because insurance costs are exploding. And people, if they're not being dropped, at times can't even afford their insurance. And the party that's not at the table and doesn't have skin in the game is the fossil fuel industry, the oil companies who have been fueling climate change, who knew decades ago that their product was fueling climate change, who suppressed that science and obstructed our transition to clean energy. And they should contribute. And that's why what the bill will do is it'll allow people who are harmed to be able to sue fossil fuel companies to recover for the harm caused to them, their home burned down, whatever the case may be. And it will also allow insurance companies to sue fossil fuel companies to recover for what they're paying out, so that the increased cost doesn't get entirely passed along to insurance policyholders. So that's the gist of the bill.
Okay, and logistically wise, I mean, as you mentioned, the problem here, so many homeowners have either been dropped or had their plans not renewed, pushing them into the state's FAIR plan, which is really kind of the last resort insure, but it's also expensive. How is this bill going to work alongside that? Is this going to subsidize what the state doesn't want to pay?
The bill also will require an evaluation for whether the benefits of the FAIR plan suing the oil industry outweigh the costs. And if that evaluation shows that it makes sense for the FAIR plan to sue, then the FAIR plan will be required to sue. Because again, if the FAIR plan runs out of money, the money then comes effectively from policyholders and increased premiums for all of us. And so, this is about bringing the oil industry to the table to participate in these massive costs, not just from the LA wildfires. These are unprecedented costs from the LA wildfires, just a complete catastrophe. But we've seen other wildfires in California in the last few months fueled by climate change. We've seen supercharged storms causing massive damage. So this is an ongoing issue, and we have to grapple with it, and the oil industry has to be part of the solution.
Yeah, you're right. It seems like every year California has some kind of devastating wildfire. If this bill is passed, Senator, how can fire victims actually start using this new bill to their advantage? Would this be able to benefit the victims of this latest wildfire?
Yes. There's a 3-year statute of limitations in the bill, meaning that if you're harmed and it's a climate fuel disaster, you have 3 years to file suit. And so if the bill passes, and let me be clear, this is going to be a really hard bill to pass. The oil is extremely powerful and has unending resources and is really good at manipulating the politics of these issues. But if it passes, then we believe that that there's a very good argument that the folks being harmed now will be able to sue.
California State Senator Scott Wiener, thank you so much, Senator.